Ales coming right up. Hello, and welcome to the BRB. Please, have a seat. You're just in time for Tavern chatter.
What is your preferred dump stat?
Intelligence.
I'm sorry.
Why?
Why? I'm smart every day. Just having the moment to be not smart is always a fun thing to try out.
Take it from me, you can be not smart anytime you want.
Dex is the dump stat. You get armor thick enough, you don't need dexterity.
If I'm not playing a charisma caster, charisma, because you don't have to be likable.
That's typically my dump stat as well as charisma, just because it really does depend on... I guess it depends on the campaign. If you're in a dungeon, charisma is an easy dump stat, just because you're not interacting with a whole lot of
Yeah,
people.
talk to me when you guys get fucking mind controlled.
That also depends on the dungeon, I guess. If you're going into the Underdark, then that's another thing to keep in mind.
On the side of charisma, just because it doesn't come up in a lot other than mind control.
Wisdom would be a secondary for me.
But then you get rid of lots of roleplay opportunities with charisma being so low.
Yeah, you should have charisma high. I always end up dumping strength, whether by purpose or on accident, because I never play characters that need to be strong.
You could say the same about intelligence too, though. Like, if your DM just assumes your character's not smart enough, you may miss out on a lot of the campaign just because it's not needed to be given to you.
See, in having the charisma as a dump stat, you can still have those interactions, but they're more awkward, which can open up other interactions, in my opinion.
Oh, that is fair.
With dumping charisma, you can still have those interactions, but they're just more awkward. And so you can fumble your way through a conversation, or hey, you know what? You can see the desperation on their face. They really need this help. They really need that discount. They don't have enough, or whatever the case is. And you can kind of adjust for that. Maybe they're a hermit who stinks, or maybe they're whatever, and you can kind of use that as your reasoning for the dump. Or the other one that I would end up doing would be wisdom, or it's sometimes intelligence. You usually don't, but dump intelligence just so you can figure out puzzles.
So, two things. Number one, how much of charisma can be bypassed with raw emotion then? Because you said like you can see the desperation in his eyes. If you're a low charisma character, but you can still get by with that sort of desperation, where does that line fall?
At that point, I would make it a roll on the NPC's side. So, how well can they figure you out? Sure, you might not be likable, but...
So you can't express yourself, but other people can still perceive you.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
Think about it this way. That can be very persuasive, even with his low charisma. It's just kind of the way he looks at you. You're just like...
Dragonborn get proficiency and intimidation off the bat.
I read you as a person, bud.
So do I.
Oh.
I have a feeling that charisma can still be role-played as the person trying to actually say what they need to say, but the moment the roll happens, that's more of what they wanted to say, but it came out as gibberish.
Mm-hmm. So, it sounds like Beck and I are also the only two people who use a non-soft stat as a dump.
You guys use a physical stat as a dump?
When it comes down to it, anything that you can use with dex, like stealth, if you're wearing heavy armor, doesn't matter anyway. The only one I kind of miss out on is sleight of hand, but acrobatics and athletics are set already.
You do lower your initiative count.
Who cares?
Don't you take an AC penalty for having a negative dex as well?
Not in plate.
Not in plate, okay.
Yeah.
Plate is amazing in that way.
Initiative doesn't matter as much if you're... Like, rogues need it, because that's their whole thing generally. Rangers need it. But if you're a fighter, the worst thing you're going to do is going to be slow to get there. And if you're a barbarian, you're already getting advantage on initiative at a high enough level.
What about dex saves?
That's what your armor's for.
That's the most common,
type of save
that's made in Dungeons & Dragons 5e.
I would also argue that it's actually very important for the tank to get up in the face of the enemy to prevent others from taking hits.
Well, that's why
because if you go
feats that counteract it, like
if
Sentinel.
you go last in the order and the enemies go before you, then we're all taking a hit that you could have.
That's why placing's important to begin with. That's why the tanks walk in first.
Yeah.
Like, it all comes down to where you're aligning yourself in the room.
I can see why. I've also played a lot of characters that have taken lower decks, but like, playing those characters have definitely opened my eyes to being like, yeah, I have to play everything else. I can't drop decks anymore. Too many saves have gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So we all agree you cannot dump Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't dump Khan. Oh my god.
Con is important for everyone.
I'm sorry for the people that just heard me bang on the table, but don't dump Khan.
I think, as far as the stats go, like you can make up for pretty much everything except for a low HP total.
There are feats that give you bonus HP.
But that's wasting a feat.
There's
slot.
like 2 feats, bud.
Yeah, no, there are ways of making up the HP difference. But also, if you don't get hit, you stay in the back.
Is this at me?
Hold on.
The road with a
Who
+4
are you-
con?
In that regard, who are you playing that can have that low of a con and sit in the back?
Wizard?
Yeah, it was
Concentration spells.
Yeah.
Don't get hit.
really. I think the rogue is probably the only one that can,
Yeah.
because they have the ranged ability to stand back,
They're ranged
and they don't have
spell-
spellcasting.
I can kind of see Warlock. Right here.
Yeah.
Well, even they can put up like
Concentration
walls.
spells.
Warlocks are all about holding their concentration spells. Like Hex can last for at
An
first level for an hour.
Yeah.
Just so you can keep bouncing it around. Higher levels it last for 8 hours than 24.
That's fair.
It's con is so important in Dungeons and Dragons 5e. There's a lot of con checks that are thrown at you. Like having a negative in that's just being poisoned every fucking game.
So, if you're dumping intelligence or wisdom, is it always one or the other, or do you ever do both?
Brant.
I hate dumping both. And I know we have someone at the table who has, but whenever I have a character, they always have a modifier to one or the other. I hate dumping both of them.
Which 2 stats did you say?
Intelligence and wisdom. So, like, I'll play a low wisdom character if they have decent intelligence, and vice versa.
See, I've actually done both.
Yeah.
It just means that you're disconnected from the world in a way. That's how I usually play it.
Or you're dumb.
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. You don't know that your buddy's bleeding out. You didn't make that medicine roll. You don't know that, there's traps ahead. I'll walk ahead anyways, or just the headstrong person, in a way.
Rely on your strength to get you out of things.
Right.
Or
Himbos.
charisma.
Or charisma.
No, I've also played a character. You can also incorporate it, like, if you have 2 negative, like, mental scores, you can incorporate it into your character. Like, I played a character who wore a helmet, and he literally could not see. He also had 1 blind eye, like, that was gouged out of his head. If you have those types of scores, it makes it so much more fun to build a character that is, like, deformed because of it.
Which there are ways to definitely lean into it. I don't see myself being able to play a character like that with such a low soft score.
I think the only character I've played was Kamuk, and he is the only one that has those 2 low stats.
Well, he's also a bard. He doesn't need them.
Yeah, he doesn't need to see. He just needs to be seen.
Alright, it's closing time. That one was fun. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to stay up to date with all the videos that we're going to bring out. If you want to see more of us, go ahead and check out the links to our social media in the description below. If you have any suggestions for our next video, please leave a comment as well. Thanks.